But the thing is that you cannot make somebody want to get treatment and want to get better. It has to come from the person.
The shame has this ability to cause decision making that people otherwise wouldn't make.
You know, you can't change what's happened in the past, but you can absolutely take charge of what happens in the future.
I love that. Hey everybody, and welcome to another amazing, exciting, and of course, enthusiastic episode of Finding Peaks. Yours truly, founder, chief executive officer here at Peaks Recovery Centers. So grateful to be back after a 6-week hiatus. I hope everybody enjoys the new amenities here. We got new brown wood floors. The sound is coming off it. Something fierce today, but even bigger than that, I'm so grateful to be joined by a friend and colleague, our Director of Nursing, Jennifer Williams. Welcome to the spot.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Grateful to have you on. Jen started with us, I want to say probably 3 months ago?
August.
Mm-hmm. And it was a real honor of mine to be a part of that interview process, bring Jen on. She was certainly my most favorite candidate, and the work that she's done since she's been here is very clear as to why I think she was a great candidate. She shows up early, stays late, shows up for the team, and does all things a director would do in that nursing department. So really grateful to have her on the team. I believe that she is connected with and embodies kind of our mission to save lives and certainly disrupt the industry through quality of care. And so you have BSN, right?
I do.
How long have you been a nurse?
So I actually graduated in 2019, so it has not been that long. You know, you would kind of think that the progression would have been a little bit slower, but everybody takes their own path in nursing. Some people want to be bedside forever. Some people just kind of move into, NP, CCRN, that kind of thing. But I just felt like I kind of had that leadership calling. So I only worked in the hospitals and outside of leadership for about 3 years, and then I started moving into leadership. So not that long, but I think the progression was just kind of natural for me because I just enjoy helping people. I enjoy helping patients, but I also enjoy helping, coworkers. So it was just natural for me. So, yeah.
Was that passion? Obviously, you graduated high school quite a bit before that. How did you find that passion to help others? Like, was that something that you grew up with, that you've always connected with, or was there something that happened that you got involved in nursing? Yeah,
that's a really good question. So when I went to college the first time, nursing wasn't even on my radar. I got a sociology and society and justice. I wanted to go to law school. And then I started working with lawyers and I said, no, I'm good. So it wasn't until I was married actually, and it took us a long time to conceive. And so going to doctor's appointment after doctor's appointment, and you could really tell the difference between the nurses that were there to really help and the ones that were there to get a paycheck. And I thought, I'd really like to be able to help people and do this kind of thing. So I thought about it, and I did, have kids, and I thought, oh, I'm too old. I've got kids. It's going to be too hard to go to nursing school. So I just kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. And then finally I was just, what am I waiting for? I thought that I really needed to just pursue that, even though I felt like I was too old. So I did. And it was really hard, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. It seems like it, but to your point, it's, my mom was an RN, and my favorite people, whenever I would go to the hospital or I go to my primary care doc or whatever it is, my favorite people to connect with professionally, or certainly as a client, patient, or guest, is a great nurse.
Right.
And those nurses that are really, really great, you remember them. They kind of stick with you. They're so caring. Their bedside manner is phenomenal. And so I really, really love phenomenal nurses. And I think they're really, I've always described them as like the glue that holds everything together.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that. It's, because you have the doctors, those are, they're important. The providers are super important. And the, the phlebotomists and the CNAs and the respiratory, everybody is important. But it is kind of the nurse that's kind of at the center of that, right? That's kind of making sure they're kind of the nucleus, I guess you would say, just to make sure that it all fits together and it runs well. It's definitely true.
What is it about leadership in nursing that drew you in that direction as opposed to potentially just working as an RN?
I just think that I I think I have ability to really connect with people, and it doesn't really matter who they are. I think I can understand them, and I can be compassionate and empathetic with them. So, and I think that that's what really makes a good leader, is somebody that isn't standing above someone and looking down and saying, do this, do that. It's somebody that's in there, right? And they can recognize, maybe this person's having a hard day, or maybe this person's going through some struggles, and it's the ability to step back from it, maybe being frustrated, right? They didn't show up to work or whatever, and really being able to step back and say, well, they probably have something going on, so you really need to have that extra piece, that empathetic piece. And I think that I think I'm pretty good at that. So I just, and people kind of naturally come to me if they have problems, and that could be coworkers or just, people in my life, for advice, and because I think that I think I can step back and I can really think and listen, and not listen to respond, right? But I'm listening, and I really actually want to have constructive things to say rather than emotional. So I think I do a good job with that. So it just comes naturally, I think.
Yeah, I think you do phenomenal with it, actually, and that willingness to kind of get your hands dirty and sit side by side with your employees, with your team, I think is extraordinary. I just hired our billing director, and that was one of the things that really stuck out in the interview, was this willingness and this ability to get down, sit side by side with people and do the work. The work alongside their team members. And it's interesting too, because you came from another treatment program, and like 5 nurses followed you.
Yeah.
Or like, at least 2 full-time, 3 part-time. But that speaks to me. The same thing happened with the billing director. I didn't hire a billing specialist because she's like, I got 2. I already know. I've worked with them for 5 years.
Yeah.
What is it about that connectivity within your team that creates the best opportunity for patient care? Why is it so important to have a cohesive, not just a medical team, but specifically a nursing team? They probably have more touch points than anybody else on the medical team. Why is it so important to have a good culture and synergy within that department?
Culture is everything in nursing. You can feel the culture. So I think that at Peaks, for example, anybody that walks in, I think that they can feel the culture. It doesn't matter where you are on the team, but they can feel it. And it's especially important in nursing. It's hard. It's 12 hours, 3 to 4 days a week. It's overnights. It's 24 hours a day. So you really have to have that cohesiveness. You have to be able to pass on information. You have to be able to communicate effectively. You have to be able to, and you have to be happy.
Yeah.
You can't, I guess you could, but as a nurse, you have to have some passion for what you're doing, and you have to enjoy showing up to work. Because if you don't, then you're just robotic. Anybody can pass out medications, and anybody can read a MAR. Anybody can do that, but you have to have the passion behind it. And that's just created by the whole team. It's not me, it's not one nurse, it's everybody. And that speaks to what I was saying earlier, you have to be able to really understand the people that you're working with. You have to be able to understand them. You have to be able to listen to them, and you have to be able to care. If you don't care, you're not gonna have people that are gonna show up for you. It's just not gonna happen. They're just,
You bring up a really good point. It's almost like it should be like a prerequisite when you're going through the nursing school to be like, what's your lived experience? Why are you here? Are you passionate? Because this job, if you're not passionate, I would imagine can be extraordinarily difficult.
Oh yeah, the passion has to be there. And I don't think anybody gets into nursing and they think, I don't really like helping people, but
Just want to make a couple bucks.
I just, just want to make some money, because nursing is hard. It doesn't matter what setting you're in, it's hard. Not always, but it's hard. So you really have to have that passion. If you don't, you'll burn out.
Yeah.
You just will. You're gonna show up, and it happens. It happens a lot. So you have to have that passion.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just not gonna last.
Why would you say that? Maybe it's in behavioral health, but maybe it's just in the field in general. But why is there so much nursing burnout? Similar to like counseling and primary therapy and things of that nature.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's a combination of, it's long hours, it's long days, sometimes it's overnights. The overnights will really get to you.
Yeah.
But I think that it's also, it's emotionally. So it can be physically hard, it's emotionally hard, it can just be taxing on your, just your body and your nervous system at all times.
Yeah.
So if you just continue that year after year after year, without having that underlying passion and that underlying happiness, then you're going to burn out a lot faster. Yeah.
Now that makes a lot of sense. You know, when when people are going to counseling schools, as I started my education with counseling, there's a lot of talk and a lot of verbiage. It's not necessarily in textbooks, but there's a lot of talk about self-care.
Oh yeah.
About taking great care of myself so that I can show up and kind of empty the tank for others. Maybe you could chat with the viewers a little bit about what is that? Is it just as important for nursing? What could that self-care look like? And how does it make a better professional?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, I'm really bad at self-care. So I feel a little bit hypocritical saying.
I feel like making sourdough is self-care.
It is, it is, I'm trying.
And gardening.
Yeah, there you go. It's anything that you can do to step away. It's really, really important to be able to not be connected when you're not at work.
Yeah.
And I really encourage the nurses that I work with, hey, if you're not here, don't be here.
Yeah.
Go home, do whatever it is that you like to do. Go hang out with your family. Go walk your dog. Go pet your cats. Get a massage. Get your toes done. Whatever it is that you enjoy doing, it's super important. But nurses in general are really bad at taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
It's just the way that you are, because that's what you came into the profession for, is to help other people. So you're not at the forefront of the people that you want to take care of, even when you're not at work.
Yeah.
Because then you may have kids or a husband or a wife or whomever, and you're catering to them, because that's just the nature of nurses most of the time.
That makes sense. So I would imagine that after you've said that maybe codependency becomes an issue within the nursing profession as well.
Oh, for sure.
As it does in other clinical jobs.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. They probably don't talk about it in nursing school though, huh?
No.
Or in residency for doctors,
Yeah.
you know, when you're going through all of that kind of stuff. But it would make sense to me that and self-care can come in a million different varieties.
Oh, for sure.
Self-care could literally be just turning off your chats and sitting on the couch and quiet.
Yes.
You know, something like that.
I was talking to one of the nurses the other day, and she goes, yeah, I went home and I sat in my bed with my dog and I ate a bag of gummy bears. And I was like, that's perfect. I love that. That sounds so good.
That's one of those things where like, there's been seasons of my life where like I leave work in my car, like a magnet just pulls into 7-Eleven in my head, like a magnet goes right over to the ice cream thing and grabs a pint of Ben and Jerry's.
There you go.
And I'm like, for a while there, and I know Ben and Jerry's, especially the whole pint, isn't good for you.
Yeah.
But there was these moments in these seasons where that was the best self-care I could do. And certainly I want to grow up and out of that, and I have. But I love kind of broadening that self-care thing, because a lot of people will look and say, well, I don't want to wake up at 4 and I don't want to go run. You know, none of that.
Yeah.
Just take great care of yourself, and that's about as of an individualized process as it comes.
Oh, for sure.
You know, fishing, baking, gardening, all that stuff.
Reading, you know, walking, running. You know, we live in the beautiful state of Colorado, so there's so much to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Have you gotten out and seen these aspens?
No.
Oh.
I know.
Oh. You just got to drive to Twin Lakes this weekend.
Okay.
I mean, I was just there last weekend. There is a tree, a little off topic. There is a tree on your way to Twin Lakes, and it's on the Arkansas River, and it's right on the right-hand side. There's a little pull-off, and it is the brightest yellow fall tree I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
It looks like it's on fire.
Wow.
I would go back just to see that tree.
Oh, wow.
It's absolutely cool. And I love fall. It matters too, because it's change of the seasons.
Right.
Right. And the only thing constant is change. And certainly with what we do as a profession, day in and day out, nothing's the same.
Yeah.
And I really, really love that about our field. What was it about, or maybe it wasn't about anything, but what brought you into behavioral health?
Well, to be honest, when I first got into it, I kind of stumbled upon it. And I remember looking at the job description, and I thought, I've never really considered doing behavioral health or substance abuse. I've never considered that. But when I thought about it, I thought, I think that would be perfect for me. I don't feel like this was an accident that I stumbled across this job, because I have absolutely had I've been impacted in my life from substance abuse. So I just said, why not? Let's try it, right? That's kind of what you do in life, right? Let's try it. And I did, and I thought, yeah, this is definitely something that I think that is a passion of mine. And I didn't even know it would be. I thought that, because of my experience getting into nursing in general, that I would be more interested in like fertility and babies and children, but that's not the case. So.
Was your previous employer, was that your first job in behavioral health?
It was.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. And you chatted a little bit about it, and I know your story a little bit, but what was the lived experience and how has it impacted you as a professional?
Oh, as far as the substance
Yeah,
use?
maybe you grew up with substance use. I know your former husband struggled with substance use and mental health issues and things of that nature. Yeah, what was that lived experience, if you don't mind talking about it?
No, I don't. Well, I would say, so, I got married when I was pretty young, 24, and all's well, you want to do all the things, get married, have kids, and we struggled with that a little bit, but we did. And, my ex, he slowly transitioned from kind of a casual, social drinker, and, we were young and going out and doing the things.
Yeah.
But it transitioned into more than that. And I started to notice changes. So, kind of shady behaviors, things going on. And I would start to notice he was very functioning. So there was that. It was very hard. It was really hard to identify. But I just started noticing little things, and, I would kind of catch him like, why are you drinking right now? Or, there would be times, for example, we would be leaving to go to our son's football game on a Saturday, and he'd forget something in the house and he would run back inside. And I would catch him like chugging alcohol. And I would find empty water bottles, and I started getting so suspicious. Like I'd smell them, right? Because vodka is clear, so I'd start smelling every water bottle. I would start taking sips of his drinks just to see kind of what was in them. And it just really turned into just a life that I was not excited about, because I was always the bad guy. Yeah. I was always searching. I would search through his car. I would search through his pockets for whatever I could find, because it's just like, am I going crazy? And what's going on here? What is wrong? So it was really hard. And we dealt with that. It probably started way before I even really had it on my radar. Because the kids were young, and so I just felt like I was going crazy, because all I was ever doing was looking for the reason. So yeah, that was kind of the progression. It was years.
It's interesting you bring that up. That's a lot of parents and spouses, and a lot of the relational components that you brought up is a lot of what people bring up when they talk about the progression of alcoholism, or the progression of mental health, or the progression of substance use. Because I was the type of person who would drink, and I'd have my drink in my hand with alcohol in it, and my girlfriend at the time would be like, "You're drinking?" I'd be like, "Absolutely not."
Yeah.
And she's like, "What? Am I going crazy?" Because it really starts to make you feel like not only you're the bad person, but like, am I being scapegoated here?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was the one doing something wrong, because I'm always sneaking around trying to find proof, and I'm just going, what is happening? And it's just, one of the things that's the most difficult for me is the fact that, I think a lot of people, there's a stigma, right? You think, oh, it's an alcoholic, it's not a good person, it's not, they don't have a job, or they, all of these things that may trigger in people's minds about an alcoholic. And the hardest thing for me is that all of that was quite the opposite. He was a wonderful person, a really good dad, a good son, a good husband, to the best of his ability, right? So he was just a really good person. So that's why sometimes, I hesitate to say that I had those troubles with him, because he was such a good person, and he just got lost, just totally lost.
I really appreciate you mentioning that too, because shame has this ability to cause decision making that people otherwise wouldn't make, in a lesser degree of shame. And I think having some compassion and some grace for that, and that's why I always lean towards like alcoholic. I called myself an alcoholic for 6 years of sobriety, and I don't do that anymore. I struggled with a mental health disorder, of which I coped with alcohol in a season of my life where it was really, really intense.
Right.
But me today, I just don't subscribe to that alcoholic thing anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's hopeful for our viewers and people that might potentially call Peaks Recovery home, because our goal here is not just to save lives, but like help you heal.
Right.
So you can go on and live a normal life, whatever that looks like in your recovery. So I really appreciate you saying that, because a lot of the people that I know that we have the opportunity to meet on a daily basis, we meet them on their worst day.
Yeah.
And then if they finish the program, we get to hang out with them on one of their best days.
Yeah.
And those are phenomenal humans.
Yeah.
They're good people.
They're really good people.
You know?
And, I think that's the perspective that I always have, because I see them and I see them as a person. They have families, they have kids, they have parents, they have jobs. And, I think like what you said, I think that he really struggled with some of the things from his past.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to deal with it. Or maybe he did. I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you. And there's those coping mechanisms, right? You can numb the pain.
Yep.
And unfortunately, that's what he did, to a very severe extent.
Yeah.
So.
You, I don't know if I've ever said this to you before, but I think Gabor Mate said it. I've said it on the show. But since we're throwing so much grace into this space, it's hard to get enough of something that almost works.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Gabor Mate said that. But when you look at, talk about somebody's past and the inability to deal with it, alcohol is a really great anxiety suppressant.
Right.
And generally people start with one drink, and if they haven't dealt with the intensity in the past, it turns into two. And before you know it, I'm in a space that I didn't necessarily want to be.
Right.
I just want to treat the anxiety.
Right.
And it's clear why I have anxiety.
Right.
Yeah. So that can be really, really difficult to not just witness, but to be in the relational component with, to have kids. Mm-hmm. Were you guys separated?
We did eventually separate.
Okay, you guys separated.
Yeah, so eventually, it's really interesting, and I obviously know this now, and I did not know it at the time, but I told him, this is gonna tear apart our family, because I can't live like this with the kids and you. I can't live like this, so I really want you to do what it is that you need to do to get help. Mm-hmm. My parents and his parents paid for him to go to an outpatient, treatment center that he always found a reason that he couldn't go to.
Yeah.
And I just said, after all these failed attempts, and I'll get better on my own. I'll fix it on my own, which obviously didn't happen. And finally, I just said, I can't do this anymore. And to be honest with you, I thought that might work.
Right.
I mean, him and I were together for over 17 years.
Wow. That
That is not something that you want to throw away easily, but I just said, I just can't. So maybe that will work. But the thing is that you cannot make somebody want to get treatment and want to get better. It has to come from the person.
Yeah.
Because it's just not going to work if somebody else wants you to do it. If you don't have the desire and you aren't at the place where you want to see something change in your life, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that at the time.
Mm-hmm. And to go back onto the shame thing, once we disconnect, I remember telling myself, I hate people. But that's where my alcoholism and my anxiety, my depression had brought me to this space where I'm just like, leave me alone. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times with that shame on our back,
Right.
we have a separation relationship, it oftentimes get worse. Because I'm telling myself a narrative that I don't want that. I don't need that. And I'm not, because the shame's just so heavy.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes they slip, sometimes it'll be a call to courage, but other times they slip kind of into more of a deficit there.
Yeah.
So what ultimately ended up happening?
So we were separated, and I had initiated the divorce process, and it was really scary. That's one of the reasons also that kind of pushed me into finally getting my nursing degree, because I knew that it was probably going to go down the path of me needing to support the boys on my own. Mm-hmm. So we were going through divorce. I had been dating somebody for a while, and I woke up in early morning. I woke up, I had to take the kids to school, and I had a text message from somebody that I didn't know, and they said, hey, can you go check on him? I haven't heard from him in a couple of days. He didn't live, he was in an apartment not too far from me, so I dropped the boys off and I went to his house. But long story short, he had passed away.
I bet that was extremely hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what does a mother do from that point? 2 kids. I know a lot of our viewers and a lot of our guests that call Peaks home have had some of that experience as well, but how did you turn that corner, Jen?
I mean, I will tell you that the worst moment of my life was telling my kids. That was the worst moment. I don't think there's going to be a lot of worse moments than that. But I just had to focus on them, right? I just had to say, look, I have to be the mom, I have to be the dad, I have to be all the things, and it was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying. But I just said, you know, it's happened, right? I can't go back. I had a lot of guilt, to be honest with you. What did I do wrong?
Right.
What was my part in all of this? How could I have done things differently? But it's just, you got to pick yourself up by your bootstraps, as they used to say, and just, you know, you have to power forward. We weren't divorced, so I had to figure out all of the things, you know, all because he had a whole kind of, you know, kind of his own property and life going on, and so I had to figure all of that out, you know. But I just, you know, of course, I mean, I cried myself to sleep. I can't tell you how many times. Because just because you don't want to be together with somebody doesn't mean that you know you want them out of your life, right? And obviously the kids' lives. So just move on and figure out how to move on. I've had a lot of, you know, there's been a lot of days where it's really difficult, but I'm there for my boys.
Yeah.
That's, I think, as a mother or a parent, right? It's like, well, they have to be able to rely on me. So that's what I did.
Wow, that's super heroic. It's very emotional. I have 2 boys.
Yeah.
And I see the way my boys look at me as their father.
Yeah.
And how difficult that conversation must have been for you.
Yeah.
So shout out to you for having the courage to step up and do what you needed to do to inform or continue to inform a solid foundation for those boys.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I'm not going to lie, it was a really difficult conversation I had with myself. Like, how am I going to be the dad? How am I going to do the boy things and puberty and all these things that are going to come up someday? And, you know, I had hoped, of course, like obviously not at the time, but I had hoped that I would eventually find somebody that could kind of fill that role for them. And I did, so that's good. But it was a lot of dark moments with myself, and just the type of person that I am, I spent a lot of time wondering, you know, what was my part in it, and I struggled with that a lot. I still do, to be honest with you. But you know, you can't change what's happened in the past, but you can absolutely take charge of what happens in the future.
I love that. There's this, you ever been to Al-Anon?
I have.
Have you? Yeah,
I have.
So there's this saying in Al-Anon. I've only been to like 2 meetings my whole life.
Yeah.
But my wife was an Al-Anoner, and they have this saying in Al-Anon that says, you didn't cause it, and you can't fix it. I remember when I heard that for the first time, I was blown away.
Yeah.
But I think it's important, especially in situations of grief and loss and things of that nature. You know, my old sponsor used to tell me, because I would have sponsees and they would go out and drink. They called me the sobriety reaper. They would all drink. Like for my first 2 years, everybody drank. Like that was not helpful to anybody. And he would always say to me, there's a center of the universe, or potentially there's a God, and it's definitely not you, Chris Burns.
Yeah.
You know, and so to release myself from that control and to know that everybody has decisions to make and things happen, and oftentimes I don't have a lot of connection with how those things turn out.
Yeah.
You know, but again, I can't imagine having I've walked through a certain amount of grief in my life. It's just it's an interesting thing to process, and then to process it alongside 2 boys that probably look like their dad is probably even more difficult.
Yeah.
How have you taken that power? And thank you so much for sharing that. I know those stories are hard to talk about, but how have you taken that experience? How has that informed the professional that shows up today and the way that you deal with guests that are struggling in a lot of ways with very similar issues?
Oh yeah, I mean, it really enhances my ability to see them, to really see them. Because like I had touched on earlier, I think that there's this stigma that goes along with, oh, they're addicted to something, or you know, if that's what they're there for. There's a stigma around that, and I think that if you can talk to them and in a very genuine way, which is not hard to do, and just really say, hey, I see you here, and the thing that you're doing right now is the hardest thing, because it's really easy to be at home with a substance in your hand or a drink in your hand. That's easy. Being here is really hard. So I think having that insight and saying, you know, I don't know you, but I'm really proud of the fact that you chose to be here and that you want your life to be different, and you're making, you know, those decisions and those steps forward. And I think that it really makes me it gives me the ability to really see them, to see them as a person, not a guest, not a patient, not somebody that has that is struggling. It makes me really be able to see them, and I'll share my story when it's appropriate, but it's also not about me.
Yeah.
But if I feel like somebody could use it, I've done that in the past and said, like when younger people come in and I see, that they're really struggling, and I say, you've got this. You have a mom and a dad, I'm sure, that are so proud to see you here. You're not much older than my son.
Yeah, right.
So I'm just really proud that, especially the younger kids, but I'm just proud to see you here and to see you making those steps, because it's super hard. It is not an easy decision to make.
Yeah.
So
I love that too. And firsthand, like what type of courage it takes to make that decision.
Right.
And you would think, like I break my ankle, I go to the doctor.
Right.
Everyone does.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have insurance, you probably go to the ER, go to the doctor.
Right.
For whatever reason with this mental health thing and this substance use thing,
Yeah.
I break myself, but I'm not going to the doctor.
Right.
It's very interesting the way that works on this side of healthcare.
Oh, absolutely. And, I see the work that people do. We have, amazing therapists, and I hear them talking about, some of our guests and what they're going through and what they've experienced, and that they use substances in those cases, to help mask those feelings and to help mask, their experiences. And they're doing the work, and the therapists are incredible at really peeling back the layers and really seeing, what's the root cause, because, I don't think that people just all of a sudden start drinking just for fun and then get into it so hard that they can't get out of it. There's really an underlying reason why they've started and continued.
I agree. And you're right. I haven't met anybody in almost 20 years of doing this. It's like, 6 years old, I was like, I'm gonna be an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Not a single person.
Yeah.
They want to knock the edge off. It grows, it
Yes.
exacerbates, it progresses, which we know is a side effect
Right.
of this thing. So now you're in Colorado.
Yeah,
You got a beautiful family,
I do.
remarried. How long you been married?
Better
get it right.
I feel like I'm a Nazi. Not quite a year and a half.
Oh, cool.
It's not very long.
Right on.
Yeah.
So you guys have a bigger family now. Guys, we're six-person family? Or is it five?
No, it's my husband and I, and then we have 3 boys.
Okay, so 5.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's exactly what I grew up with, mom and dad, and then 3 boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is the move? How has Colorado been? How is the new family? How are things in your life?
It's been great. I mean, it's certainly an adjustment, right? Of course, I told the boys, hey, it wasn't a surprise, right? Because my husband has lived out here, and if we were going to be together, I had to move here.
Okay.
So there was definitely some apprehension. Didn't want to leave their friends. Didn't want to. I mean, it's familiar, right? So, but we moved out here, and they were great sports, and they've got friends, and my older son has a girlfriend that's super sweet. She's adorable. Just really engaged in life and community and their schools, and they're doing really well. I have to give a shout out to my husband, because he's incredible. He's done such a good job just stepping into that role. He understands, of course, that he's not their father, but he knows how important it is to me, to have that male figure. So that, just the guy things, right? Like he wrestles with them, and he shows them moves, and he does all that stuff. That's not mine. That's not my role. So it's been great. And, of course, my husband knows all of the things that have happened, and he's very understanding and empathetic of kind of those times when, it can get heavy sometimes.
Sure.
So he's really good at that.
That's really cool. Yeah. He seems like a badass, because that's a tougher situation to step into and to be able to show up for.
Oh, I mean, being a step parent is one thing, but being a step parent to 2 boys that were 8 and 12, and they lost their dad, that's huge. Yeah. And I would actually say there's not a lot of men in general that not only would be willing to do that, but would be really good at it.
Yeah.
And he's really good at it.
Yeah, that gave me chills when you said that. That's a stacked deck, and he walked right in.
He did. I mean, and he knew it, and he's just like, bring it on. He's always up for a challenge.
Yeah.
But it hasn't even been that much of a challenge. I mean, he said to me, many times before, your boys could tell me to screw off and, go away, because he's a little bit more of a disciplinarian than I am.
Sure.
And they could tell me to screw off and leave them alone. You're not my dad. And they've never said that to him. So they've really embraced him as well. And I think they can see that he really cares and he's there for them, but he's not trying to, come in with that, like, I'm your new dad, that kind of thing.
That's cool. What a delicate dance.
Oh, for sure. For
that
sure.
Not everybody can do, but it really appears like you have seems like you guys are thriving.
We are.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. It's when you're merging families, it can be challenging. I don't think anybody would tell you that it's not. But we listen to each other. We communicate with each other. He really knows how to listen to me, and if I say, hey, you need to back off, he backs off.
That's cool.
He's really good at it, and I get along amazing with his son. He's an incredible kid. So it was pretty easy, I would say, if you're going to put it on the scale.
Yeah.
It could have been a lot harder, but it's been really, really, really great. And I love it here, and I'm really, really happy, just that I found him.
That's cool.
So,
I'm really happy for you. What a story.
Right?
Yeah, what an incredible, miraculous, sad, and extraordinary story. It really, really is.
Yeah.
Now to Peaks Recovery. I know you worked at another place across town, not even across town, a few miles away from Peaks Recovery. What was it about Peaks that drew you there, and what's keeping you here now?
Oh, well, so when I showed up, I came for 2 interviews, and I showed up, and you can just feel it. From the minute that you walk in the door, and everybody is welcoming, and hey, how are you? Everybody is so kind, and that's across the board. So the guests feel it; they have to. Everybody that I talk to, that I've brought in, and they can feel it. They can feel the passion. They can feel the enthusiasm. They can feel the care. It's not just a place where you go and it's like, oh, here you go. Here's your number. Here's your room. I mean, you sit down with the guests all the time and just connect with them. Everybody does. It's one of my favorite things. And you can just feel it. It might sound cheesy, but it's true. You really can. Like you said, I came from a different center, and I don't think that was the case.
Yeah.
I mean, here it's just way different. And what keeps me here is that you allow me to stay.
Yeah.
I mean, I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, I hope they never fire me, because I'm not leaving.
Yeah. Somebody asked me the other day, they're like, how's the medical team doing? I'm like, swimmingly. Swimmingly. And there's actually no follow-up questions if you say swimmingly.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that it? That's your only question?
Yeah.
They're like, okay.
I'm done.
Nothing to say here. Yeah, I love that. It's interesting that you brought that up, and we didn't even talk about this before the show.
Yeah.
But when I used to call the families, not but a year and a half ago, I called every single family that came into the program. I would often tell them that you're going to feel something at Peaks Recovery, and it's going to be different. You won't be able to really define it, but it'll keep you there. And it's like this space. You had talked about it maybe it was in our interview, or maybe it was after you were hired, but the former place that you worked at, you'd come in and you'd like feel the anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
And feel the tension and feel the intensity.
Yes.
And a lot of our guests, families that have come through, alumni, and all points in between, really speak to this thing that you can't see.
Yeah.
This special sauce at Peaks Recovery.
Oh, yeah.
Why do you think, is it the team in general? Is it the way we work together? Is it the mission? Is it all the things? What do you think creates that in your experience?
I think it's all the things. I really do, because it's just a feeling when you walk in the door, and like you said, you can't explain it, but everybody, just from the minute you walk in the door, everybody is so kind and welcoming, and they all have a smile on their face, which is a credit, right? Because it speaks to what I was saying earlier, that you have to want to come to work. You have to want to be there. It's not just a job.
Yeah.
I think for probably 95+% of the people that work there, it's not just a job. It's a passion. It's the communication, the community, because we all are really like a team, a very cohesive team, and it's special. You can feel it, because when the team is like that, just like in nursing, when the entire team is like that, it just shines from everybody.
Yeah.
And I hate for it to sound cheesy, but it's so true. It really is.
I agree.
And I'm not just saying that because I work at Peaks. I'm saying it because I can feel it.
It's the moment you walk in the front door.
Yep.
I'm walking across that long walk we have to do now because we can't park in the parking lot.
That was you told me that.
And I'm like walking in, and I almost think to myself, like I'm looking at Pikes Peak, I'm like, you better find your gratitude button, Chris, because you're about to walk in this door, and it's going to be all over you. There's Miss Pat.
Yes.
There's Leah. Hey, there's Fred. It was like,
Yep.
oh shoot, we're going, and everybody's like, and it's one of those environments where whenever I try to just go by somebody and say, hey, how are you? It's like unacceptable.
Yeah.
Come back. How are you?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, I'm doing well. Happy Wednesday. All the stuff.
Yes, let's get into it. How was your weekend? That's not enough.
Yeah,
exactly. I need to know all the things.
Yeah.
What did you get out of your garden this weekend? Where'd you go fishing?
Yeah, but it's so cool because it invites and allows in a workspace something that I think is absent from a lot of professional careers, and that's presence with each other. And if we can do that, or when we do that with each other, that experience titrates down to our guests.
Right.
All the staff members, and they get to have that experience as well.
Right, and they're free to walk around anywhere, and they can see our conversations with one another. They can see the professionalism, and then they can see that we actually care about each other, and I'm actually interested in you, and you're interested in me and what I have going on in my life, and they can see that.
Yeah.
If you're working at a place where you walk in and everybody's just, if you're working somewhere like that, and the guests can see that too. So. That just really speaks to just the environment in general. It's a lot different.
I love that. It was well articulated as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been an extraordinary opportunity bringing you on our wonderful podcast. I want to say we're probably on 160 something episodes, or getting close to that. But I really appreciate you allowing me to do what I've been doing since 2008, which is turning professional conversations personal one day at a time.
Yeah.
I think it really, really matters, the lived experience, the passion associated with it, and then of course the client care and the guest care that comes as a result. So thank you so much for coming on, so bold, so humble, and so authentic. It really means the world.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you. Until next time. Peace.